its finest. We are in our second tournament of the brand new Dota 2 professional circuit. Points given out to players and teams alike as they fight their way towards TI8 in 2018. That's right, the road starts right now, or rather started last weekend actually at Starladder, where Team Liquid, the defending champions of the International, won the opening minor. Who's going to win the opening minor over the next 4 days? Good question, and a question our two panel members can probably answer with some gill and expertise.
What's up? How are you?
We're back with Gangster Fogged right now.
Dude, the music just brings it out.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
That's going to be gift all over the place. Let's not get into the game right away. I just want to talk to both of you while I've got both of you here. Where are we right now in Dota 2? There's a lot of conversations going on about meta's boring, we need a new patch, where's the new patch, Ice Frog, what are you doing? Actually, I'm quite enjoying this patch.
I'm enjoying Immortals.
I mean, that was a great game, wasn't it? It was like, we get games like that. I mean, what do we need any patch? I'm almost at the opposite end. I know other people are like... I saw one comment this morning, and it was an idiotic comment, and I'm sorry, but you were an idiot. And it said, if I don't get the patch by tonight, I'm leaving Dota 2. Screw you, man. What are you doing? That's a stupid thing to say.
Bye. You won't be missed.
But off you go then. We don't care about you. I don't know. But it is a topic of conversation. So I just wondered, where are you at? Do you want a new patch? What do you want out of a new patch? What do you want it to do?
I like the freshness, that new feel of a patch. That's the one thing. Just you get.
I mean, it is exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, because people just start really testing stuff out. It's like, sure, we're still seeing a little bit of like variants, people trying some little things out, but for the most part, similar kind of play style, except for Immortals. They play a completely different game.
They're playing in a different dimension right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, completely different dimension. What about you, Winter? Do you want a new patch?
No, mini patch.
Mini
I like a lot of the things that are in the current patch, but I do think certain things have to be adjusted slightly. Numbers of certain green heroes, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not happy with the green heroes. There's no coincidence, by the way. Look, green everywhere behind us on the logos.
It's on purpose.
It's on purpose.
But I do like the variety of strats and heroes that you can pick and play in this meta.
Yeah, I mean that's great, isn't it? I mean, I have to say this: when we had 693 back, you sort of. I don't know how he gets it any better than this. Is brilliant, right? 105 heroes picked at TI6. You look at it, this is brilliant. It's in a great place. And then we had 7. And you kind of go, oh no, what have they done? This could break everything. And actually it didn't. It made it even fresher. And these new traits and all these new things came in. You thought, okay, this is cool. We're going to have to try and figure this out now. And all right, little balance patches along the way. But it's still there. It still feels like we can. The players can have an impact. They can change things as they go along.
But it made the game in a way like certain areas become more complex. That's why maybe certain people like they played for this period and there's this change period and they just came back after that and they feel like the game is totally strange and different from them and they stop playing.
But I'm talking about people that are complaining we need a patch because it's gone stale. Hello, this only changed in January of this year actually. Majorly changed the version of what looked like Dota 3 at one point.
I think people are just sick of certain green heroes. I think that's the biggest thing. I don't know if it's like the whole patch in general, but I think people are just seeing this.
We're not talking about moving Roche, for instance, which we had at 7.0. We're not talking about changing creep stacks. We're not changing jungle areas. We're not doing any of that kind of stuff. We're just talking about balance changes, aren't we?
Maybe.
Or do you want different stuff? Do you want different maps? Are you one of those people?
I personally. I don't really mind. Like I think this patch is fine because you were seeing so much variety still, but that's the same. I don't think that another patch will change that. I think if another patch comes, we're still going to see the same kind of variety. It's not going to be like, oh, the patch comes, all right, we're just going to pick this exact strategy every single time or something. No, we're going to have so many different heroes anyway.
But that's why I'm saying, is it really stale?
Not to me.
It doesn't feel stale to me. I still see iteration. You still see players challenging themselves, playing different heroes in different ways, different item builds, different styles, different lanes. There's still so much to do in the game.
I think people are just locked on the fact of the super overpowered or very strong heroes, and that's just what's stuck in their head, and they're like, either I pick this or I'm just going to like, play Roaming Terrorblade.
That's like
good luck.
That's like pubs, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say that does come back
so.
to that a little bit, doesn't it? Because I think there is a general frustration sometimes when you've been playing a game at a certain MMR, mine being very low, is that it does get a bit samey. You just go, oh look, we've got an invoker in our game right now, and he's obviously actually a 6K MMR star.
Yeah.
Brilliant. He's ruining our game for us, and there's an element of that, I suppose. But that's again, does it really change?
Talking about that, I was playing with RTZ yesterday.
Well, he's a Monkey King spammer now, so I don't care about him.
You know what happened was, there was this guy, in our game, he picked Timbersaw, and apparently in the previous game, he picked Timbersaw as well, and they lost both the games, and he was like baby raging like to this unknown top player.
No.
Like, don't pick Timbersaw on my games! I mean, it was a really hard game.
Well, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Well, I think like you said, I think it's different perspectives coming from pub mentality to like pro games.
Yeah.
I think pros maybe are a little bit okay with it, like some people, but I think it's kind of that same thing, right? It's like some people are like, yeah, this is fine because they're winning, but then some teams which aren't doing so well are like, give me the patch, please.
Yeah, no, OG are already there. They're like, yeah, give us a new patch. We're great at new patches.
Get this
we
out of
love
here.
new patches. Alliance there, yeah, give us new patches. All those guys, yeah. Right, let's move into our winners bracket final matchup. Two teams who've won their opening games in Group A for a place in the semi-final. Let's introduce you to team number 1. There we go then, LGD's lineup with a stand-in as well. We spoke about it a little bit earlier on in terms of this stand-in playing and how it might hinder them. I don't want to take too much away from them in their opening series because they won it, but at the same time, they didn't really put him under any pressure. There wasn't anything... You know, I sort of feel like some other players spoke to me in the hallway and said, well, if we'd been playing him, we'd have focused him. So, well, okay, well, how would you do that? Well, he's the weak link. So, oh, okay, so if he's supporting someone in lane, that's the lane you all bounce it. Yeah, okay, well, that's an interesting approach, I guess, but that didn't happen in that opening match.
They picked him pretty straightforward heroes, right?
Yeah,
they picked an AA, Jakiro.
He played a very defensive Jakiro.
He picked it himself, more like, he was the drafter.
No, Yao was drafting.
No, he was drafting.
Oh, he was drafting. Okay, they still had Yao as selected as the thingy, though.
Because I was in the lobby.
Oh, okay. Oh, you cheater. But I think it's just the difference is that me and Ben touched on it slightly in the first game, is that he doesn't play these aggressive heroes. No. Victoria is that roamer. He's the big one that just goes for the kills around the map, and for 357 they picked him just these kind of like idle heroes that just sit in the lane. You don't really have to go too far out of your comfort zone, make those big plays. It just kind of comes to you naturally.
Yeah, you feel like they stick to that again? There's no reason to change away from that?
Yeah. I don't see why not.
Okay. On the other hand, you may disagree with this, Winter, but the boys said earlier on that sort of passive style might not necessarily get them to the grand final here. At least get out of the groups, perhaps, but not all the way.
Yeah, because like they're playing against Immortals now. Their previous series, their opponents did not punish their early game. They picked really weak early game heroes. Their lanes were not that great. I mean, they sort of fell behind slightly, but I think if you're against Immortals and you draft the same way exactly like your first series, you're going to be definitely punished way harder than what happened.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, they've shown us they're aggressive, right? They want to get in your face. They want to fight all over the map. They don't care where it is. Your side, their side, they don't care, right? They're just going to dive on you.
Yeah, no towers, no problem. We don't need your towers.
Who cares? Objectives? What are objectives? Like, we'll do those at the end of the game. That's fine. And you're right. They're going to get punished surely if they play that passively again that early on. The same. I've been thinking, particularly the first game against Infamous was very passive.
But it was passive, but at the same time, I look at the high ground, and this is where I used to see old MVP crumble even. They go for those dive plays past tier 4s, and this is LGD we're talking about. These guys, they hold that line.
The wall.
Yeah, it's the wall.
Yeah.
So I think that could be the downfall. It's like maybe the passivity in the early game, it's still going to bite them in the ass a little bit, but afterwards, it's all about can MVP really be able to just hit objectives without going for these dive kills. So maybe they'll just bait them a bit. Maybe they'll be like, all right, 357, act like you don't know what you're doing, dude. Let them go in on you, and then we'll turn around.
And he sat there going, what do you mean act?
I'll just do it.
I haven't played for like 4 years. Let's move on and talk about their opponents, because their opponents in fine form in that first match, weren't they? Let's see whether they can do the same thing again here in the winners bracket final. I am, of course, talking about Immortals. If there was a difficult match in this group, it was definitely the second game, wasn't it? Secret versus Immortals. So, on that basis alone, the way that Immortals dominated, particularly that second game, you have to have them as favourites in this winners bracket.
Yeah, definitely. I think that they play a certain style that doesn't allow the other teams to play their style. They just don't let you. I literally walked by Sumail and I was like, damn, Immortals really just doesn't let you play Dota. And he was just like, yeah, they just you try to have this whole formula strategy out, and then there's 4 heroes mid, and then there's 4 heroes top, and then there's 5 heroes bottom, and then there's 5 heroes at your shrine, and you're like, wait, it's 6 minutes in. What the hell is going on? They just don't let you get online and do the plan that you had like theoried out. Like you pick this whole draft, and you're like, okay, this time, first night time, we're gonna do this. Second, etc. Like when catapults come out, we want to do this, and then you're like, wait, what the hell is going on? They're everywhere on us.
Okay,
it's just completely out of the ordinary.
So if that's how not to beat them, how do you beat them? What do you do? Do you play them in their own game?
The lanes, when MVP back then, when they were in C, the games that they lost in the lanes. They drafted like their sort of MVP lineup they want to run at you, but their opponents, the C opponents, they just basically drafted good lane matchups, good lane matchups. And when you lose your matchup, you pretty much, they can't play their game because they're losing in the lanes.
Yeah,
and
so
they're behind.
They try to run at you, and then they're
gonna die. Yeah, because they're losing the early game. That's why I think that's a good formula of playing against Immortals.
Can LGD do that with this lineup?
Probably not.
I think they'll probably struggle in majority of the lanes, but I think they should just play around maybe, in my opinion. I think they should really heavily focus on that mid lane versus them, because that's what we're gonna see. We're gonna see 3 people mid. I feel like we've been talking about this because we just came off a star ladder, and we're like, me and Winter just like, we're gonna have 5 people mid at the 3 minute mark.
6 people mid.
Exactly. So it's like, I think that's the best response. I think like Earthshaker could be super powerful in this. It's one of LGD's most played heroes as well. I think that's a really good way to counteract the aggression that comes out from these guys. And I think getting rid of this Pugna might be a big one, just to get into the dirty down of it.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke to MP after the game, and he made the point 3 of them can play that hero very comfortably. Not even, well, if we have to switch it to offlane, it's a bit weird. But no, very happy to play 3 of them. Very happy to play it. So you'd imagine that kind of flexibility in the draft is something LGD need to shut down quite early.
But the thing is, no one would be happy to play a poor Pugna. If you draft the Pugna and you somewhat want to put the Pugna in the off lane because you want to fit something else, and the Pugna's early game is bad, then no one wants to play that kind of Pugna.
Right. Or you just have Nyx.
Yeah.
Because Nyx makes that hero's life really miserable.
Nyx, Clockwork.
Nyx, Clock, yeah.
I think the point is, though, that it's a flexible draft pick, isn't it? You can pick it in the first 2, knowing full well that you can move it around. It also means your opponent is then going, oh, well, we better pick something to counter that, or take something away that synergizes with that, and therefore it's already making them think about how do we figure this out. Meanwhile, actually, it's not even the core part of their draft.
But I'd rather not give them Night Stalker.
Right.
I agree.
I'd rather not fight the Night Stalker, if you ask me. And I'd rather go up against their Pugna, and I just make sure if it's off-lane Pugna, I'm going to crush the lane. I'm not going to let him get anything out of it. I'll make sure that happens. Because if Pugna off-lane, you don't get farm, you're pretty much a liability to your team. You don't do anything, and you just die in the fights.
Okay, if LGD analysed those last 2 games, which you'd assume they have, Fox, you'd assume they've sat there and watched those games and taken them in, what have they learnt not to do against Immortals in the draft?
Don't pick heroes that are not self-reliant. Don't pick some like Huskars, this like Arc Warden or anything like these. Just pick strong laners. Don't have these weak lanes, these greedy type lanes that take time. Like Chen Earth Spirit, I think that suffers a bit. Just like Secret had. These 2 heroes require some time to get online, and you need good lanes in order to gank for them. I think they suffered because of that. Immortals just picks very strong lanes.
Anti-mage, good lane, and you make sure you ban the Bloodseeker. That could work against them, like some Lich AM draft, because I don't think they run like position 4 Ench or Chen. Those are the things that it's really weak against. Lich is weak against, and so maybe that could be a base of how they formulate a plan against Immortals. You try to play a slow game. You win the lanes and you play a slow farming game. You don't fight, and you make sure that you don't bleed kills. That's when Immortals are really strong. You give away kills left and right, and they just snowball.
Yeah. So what you think, like banning out the Night Stalker, ban out the maybe not the Spirit Breaker, but
Night Stalker definitely. Night Stalker and IO.
IO, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move towards that draft fairly shortly. Let's take a look at our featured matchup right now. We've picked out the supports in this particular case, Yao and Febby in particular. I wanted to talk about Febby's play in the last game in particular. Super aggressive as a support as well. Just sort of epitomises the way that this team plays, even though he's a support. Kind of just doesn't care. Just going to dive in on everything.
Both games. The
both
Night Stalker game, he was extremely aggressive in your face. He was involved in the majority of the kills. Same thing with the Spirit Breaker the second game around. You saw him standing toe-to-toe with mid one as a support, and just not caring really whatsoever. Just that's the sheer aggression. But I think that also gets, I don't know, I just feel like it gets enabled so much by Pugna. Because that hero just bleeds aggression with this, because everybody does the 4-4 build. These guys go Aether Lens Dagon, literally the most aggressive possible build you could go for here. So, yeah, I think just picking strong laners is definitely the testament that LGD needs to live by.
Yeah, and maybe you can ban the Pugna in the second phase.
Second phase.
First phase probably a little too difficult because you need to let something worse through. So I probably ban it in the second phase if they haven't picked it. But if they first phase it, then I'll try to have a counter pick for it.
Yep, I think you can ban the Night Stalker IO, you leave them the Pugna, you grab Nyx AA or something that just completely destroys it and has the global team fight for later on.
That seems like something that is quite possible for LGD to do since they like their AA.
They like both. Yeah, they like both those heroes especially.
Okay, draft is underway, I'm hearing, so we'll pop that on your screen momentarily. Just finish off on the matchup. How do you assess Yao?
He's more like a position 5 though.
Do you feel? I mean, normally he would be a 5. Here he seems to be more of a 4.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think he's naturally a 5, and right now he's playing a 4, which means that his 4 is also very close to a 5.
Right.
So they have.
He's not playing it as aggressively.
Yes, and not as greedy. So they are essentially running 2 position 5 supports, which in some ways can be good for your cause. It means that you have more space to farm, but it also means that you're gonna get less from your supports.
Yeah, I think it's also those critical moments in games when you know that you're supposed to be doing something as a 4, but you've got the brain of a 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then both of you do the same thing, and you're like, oh crap, I'm supposed to do the other thing. So, and that's in the heat of the moment, isn't it? And that's partly what we're potentially going to see.
We were kind of on one, right? We see the Nyx AA ban. Immortal actually takes out the 2 heroes we were talking about that are very good versus them.
Oh my god.
And LGD leaves the IO, and Immortals grabs the Veno instead. I think that they're taking the Veno because they don't assume LGD plays IO, so they can take both.
The green man is here.
Oh, Venomancer.
You've been complaining about green, not enough greens. I think that might have had something to do with vegetables, but you've got green now.
Oh, this is a very annoying pick. It makes it... Okay,
so
the
Lich, and they're going to... do they just take the AM here? Do they just take it? Okay, they take the Necro.
Yeah, but it's very similar to the plan that we actually talked about.
Yeah.
You try to play on the lanes and you slow the game down because Lich is really good at doing that with the armor.
Yep.
And
I mean, this is super meta now, isn't it?
Now, this is full meta.
Yeah.
And we're going to see the Immortals is... I mean, I would be very surprised if they don't ban Anti-Mage in the 3rd, 4th.
All the Necro counters are out. Nyx, AA, and Pugna.
It's actually the dream Necro game right now.
Yeah, that is
the other one?
That is actually... This opening is actually better than the Lich AM because Necro is so strong right now.
Yeah,
because of the 3 bans. Oh
natural hood pipe builder versus Venomancer.
That pick is actually so good.
This is a dream opener.
So how can you actually deal with the Necro here?
I'm trying to think. Do they just take the... Okay, they actually take the Wyvern.
They still go for the Wyvern. It's a flexi pick for them because they do run it on the offlane on occasion.
It's a lot of damage between these 2 heroes as well. Not DOT damage, Arctic Burn and Veno.
But it's not that great against Necro, right?
No.
I don't feel he's gonna like do a lot against Necro.
I guess you can curse him during his Ghost Shroud, so he can't use any healing during it. I'm just kidding. That would be feels bad.
So they're gonna need like diffuser heroes. Something to remove, build diffusers to remove the Ghost Shroud later on.
Just like we mentioned, LGD banning the Bloodseeker, so they're trying to set up for that AM pick anyway, even though it has to be banned by Immortals.
AM Lich Necro. That's gonna be like Farm Fest, you know?
They take out the Conka.
That's Victoria's best hero, probably.
But he's not here.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
Yeah.
but you'd imagine 357 would
No,
play
I
it?
think no. 357 is going to handle the Lich.
Yep.
Yao
You
is
think
gonna.
Yao takes the...
He's gonna
would have
play
taken
the
the Conker?
position 4
Yeah.
hero.
Mhm.
Whether I think it's gonna be like a. I've seen his Earth Spirit, but his Earth Spirit is not that good. So I think he's gonna play like some Kanka, Spirit Breaker, or
Well,
Clockwork.
he's played
Clock
Lich, he's
was
played
one of them,
Lich,
right?
hasn't he? Yeah, he's played Lich.
Yeah, but in this setup, I think he's not going to be playing
You
the
don't?
Lich in this current setup with
Okay.
357. I think 357 is going to handle the Lich.
Yep.
He's going to be leading the team more. So Yao is going to try and be that position 4, focus on his play and play good.
Okay.
Oh, this is tough though for Immortals right now. This Necroforce is a big problem.
They're targeting all of Immortals' most popular heroes. Taking out Femi, Spirit Breaker now, Bloodseeker. Heroes that are good at catching. I mean, the AM is still just shining, but like you said, it's pretty farm heavy. But I think it's just such a good matchup versus Venomancer.
Yeah, and the thing with Lich is, like I mentioned, Lich is really, really weak against like I think 3 heroes, Furion, Chan, and Enchantress. Those that bring a lot of early pressure right now. They do still have the option to run a Furion here. And Furion is pretty good in the lane. Let's say they were to draft a AM, Lich AM mid, and you can have Furion against the Necro. And maybe a strong roamer, bounty hunter, like some kind of roam that can actually allow the Furion to kill his lane, or even a Tusk. I think Tuskar could be good for Fabi this game. Tuskar is really good against Necro because you get a save with the snowball. It works okay with their heroes. It's not like great, but it's okay.
He was playing it a lot and at one point as well.
Yeah, I think he's very likely to handle the Tusk this game because SB, all his main heroes are banned, so I think Tusk is a reasonable substitute to that. Sand King. So this actually could still be their offlane
Could be
hero.
either.
I've seen FY play this hero.
Heavy. They're making up for a team fight, or they're having a heavy team fight.
Yeah, but it's
A lot
not
of
that
spell damage.
it's not that great in the lane if you go against a Veno and the Veno has a sentry in the lane, then the Sand King will have a lot of problems in the lane. They just need to make sure the Veno has a sentry in the lane, then it'll be fine.
I think they just wanted what, like a hard stun, and some more. I mean, more damage to go through.
Yeah,
Cold
and a
Embrace.
flexi pick, because
Yeah.
they could run it on position 4 or off lane. So they get to see what Immortals is up to, one more pick.
They still go for the IO. I wasn't thinking that they would do it because it's versus a Necro and a Lich, and Chain Frost is still pretty tough for IO.
So it's still possible for offlane Wyvern, but I would actually still prefer Furion because it's against a Lich. So we'll see what they decide to do, because then they have the Furion plus relocate, so a lot of global presence with their lineup.
They don't have good catch though. They've only got like the Gale and Arctic Burn.
Furion can itemize to that, I think, to a certain degree. Get early Orchids,
We haven't
Orchid
seen a-
Shadow Blade.
I don't like
a huge
having.
amount of players play this Wyvern in the offlane, though, have we? I mean, this thing mainly at Star Ladder.
It's been Ice 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 and Moo.
Moo,
Yeah.
Ice and Moo, and FY did it earlier today, one
Yes.
game in the first series.
Do you like not having any like hard stuns though for Necro? I feel like having no hard stuns for Necro makes the game really hard because he's always able to get off Ghost Shroud, get off his stick.
Yeah, then you have to itemize like silence and yeah,
And it's really
not
hard.
great. Yeah, it's not great. I get what you mean.
Mhm.
So I think because of that, it actually probably mean that this Wyvern is going to be off lane. They're going to pair IO with Tusk. At least they have some lockdown against the Necro. It's not great, but at least they have something.
Do you think they could do? You don't think they could go for something like a Bat Rider? Because Bat's usually pretty good versus Necro throughout most of the
Yeah,
stages.
then their support duo is like Wyvern, IO, right?
And that's kind of awkward.
Can that work? I've never seen that before. It doesn't feel great to me. But then they will have this like double heal, tether, then this Cold Embrace thingy. I'm not a big fan, but I think this support duo is quite weak together. So
Mhm.
I'm anticipating the Wyvern to be a core this game.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that they want to like punish lanes, right? Because that's Immortals' like dream. And now, I mean, Bat looks even better now.
Cool.
But
Oh my god, they have so much team fight right now. Sand King, Monkey, and IO is
So this is a QO monkey.
that's LGD.
no LGD.
Oh, yes.
So pretty
That'll be
much,
on.
I got
yeah,
excited for
yeah,
a moment.
pretty much Immortals are going to have problems with taking a team fight. Right now, you don't want to relocate into the Chain Frost, Epi, Wukong's command. Like you pretty much cannot fight into that unless you have like some bigger AoE ultimates, which is I'm not sure what they're gonna go for here. I mean, Wyvern and Veno is good amount of damage if you get your spells landing on many heroes.
Yeah, Bat. It had to be Bat in that situation. It's punishing the lanes. It's really good versus Necro, and it's really good versus Monkey King.
So that means that the IO and Wyvern are both
They're
their supports.
Yeah. This is like it's one of 4F's like favorite heroes to play versus Necro as well.
Yeah, I guess when you pick the Monkey, even adds to another reason to pick the Bat Rider.
Yeah, to scout him out. And
this pick is actually gonna ruin LGD's plans a bit with their laning phase, because they don't really have a Necro and Monkey both can't lane against Bat, so they're gonna have to figure out some way to. It's actually gonna be difficult because they can't really switch their lanes around too much right now. Unless
LGD is very quick on the bans, though. You see that? They insta-banned Ember Spirit. So the IO Ember, we've seen Immortals run it.
They need stuns. And they removed the Weaver, which is really good against the Bat Rider and the IO.
So Veno off lane, or Veno mid.
Veno mid, Bat Rider off lane. Or it could be Veno safe lane, Bat Rider off lane, Sven IO mid.
We've seen that.
Yeah, we've seen that before from Liquid. So their options are pretty open. They can just lane whatever they want. I actually like it. I'm starting to like the bottoms lineup more, like Immortals lineup
I really like the IO Bat Rider combo if they can, whenever they pair it up for kills. And I've seen the damage that Febby and 4F can do to safe lanes.
Okay, this Monkey feels out of place right now.
Where do you think they run that now? Because Ami's the one that's been playing a lot of Monkeys recently, but FY has played it in the offlane as well.
It's the offlane Monkey King.
Yeah.
And it looks like
the
it
FY Monkey King.
Is it mid Sven? It might be the mid Sven.
I think you just do mid Sven against the Storm. You do
so
IO and Sven mid, you're gonna do a lot of damage in the lane against the Storm, and you're gonna force the Lich or the Sand King to help. I don't think it's gonna hamper your IO Sven's lane a lot.
They don't have great catch for the Storm if he gets online, though.
Yeah, but I don't think Storm can actually have a good game.
Okay,
I agree.
Let's get some predictions from both of you as well as we head into this game. Winter.
South Korean Dota, baby.
All in on Immortals.
Yes.
Okay.
I really like the Bat Rider pick. I think I'm not crazy about this Monkey King. I've seen it lose time and time again, and I think Bat's the saving grace that Immortals had versus this Necrophos. So I'm going to go Immortals as well.
Okay. No change here, I guess you should say. On the panel, it is, of course, both members going for Immortals. Who else, of course, against the team with a standing? Can they produce a surprise or a shock? Let's find out. The winner, of course, of this series already goes to the semi-finals here at the PGL Open Bucharest. In game number 1, we've got 4 Meta Jacket. It's over to your commentary team of Blitz and Capitalist.
Weathered through with their late game against the aggression of Infamous, while Immortals pushed Secret out pretty quickly in a 2-0 with their aggression. It seems like we're going to have a bit of a clash of playstyles here. Blitz, Immortals being the more forefront team. LGD, it seems China in general is playing a lot slower.
Yeah, and China has been such an enigma for me just because they did struggle quite heavily against Infamous, who I don't think it'd be a stretch to say that they would probably be seen as the weakest team here. And they struggled quite hard, and I think it's a playstyle thing, and it might just be that China hasn't quite adapted to the playstyles that are generally a bit faster. I noticed that they were still favoring heroes like Void, for example.
I mean, here we have probably one of the bigger late game heroes in the Storm Spirit. Is this a free Storm game, William?
It's I will say for some reason it's really annoying to play Storm against Veno, because when you do your initial jump, he's pretty tanky. Like, you don't really like jumping on really tanky heroes because you can't immediately burst.
Okay.
That part's kind of annoying. It's pretty annoying against Bat. He should be able to dodge most things. Once he gets to Lincoln's, it's a really free Storm game.
Yeah, because you only have 3 stuns. All of them are pretty obvious, single target.
Those are pretty... I don't know. I would like to play Storm in a game like this. Like, I have no issues against it.
So it's definitely not the Storm that could lead LGD astray here, but what about the rest of the lineup? Like the panel, not too big of a fan of the old off-lane Monkey King for FY.
Yeah, but I think this time you have a better hero pairing up with it. In the past, like, they've always had this like weird combo like Monkey King Phoenix, and it just gets absolutely destroyed. But I think what should happen right now is, it looks like they're gonna swap NP, but I think he should just stay top. And they have Bat Rider against the Necro. That's such a good matchup for Bat Rider. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's moving back up. He should just tank this lane.
So we'll have our Wisp dual lane like they were talking about, with Sven against the Storm Spirit. Now that's got to be one of the areas where Storm is going to feel a little bit pressured, right? Is the laning phase, and then that potentially early Blink Dagger of the Bat Rider. He's just got to kind of survive through all of this, right?
Yeah, and when it comes to lane matchups, it's pretty advantageous to Immortals. And we saw at Star Ladder, lanes do matter quite a bit nowadays. But this mid lane Dubu, just hanging around.
Now, LGD, the only Chinese team who's managed to pull up wins so far in this new season.
2 wins so far.
Do you think that they are doing something different? Because they're still playing kind of slow, but are they doing something different compared to the Chinese teams that we've seen so far to make it work?
I think for the most part, they're pretty similar. It's just the individual skill-wise, LGD are very good, and they actually do know that Dubu's around. This is such an NA classic, like the wait for the mid-courier.
Nothing tilts a mid faster than sniping his courier.
If you played mid pubs, like you know this is coming.
And so the courier is going to run itself all the way up to the top lane. They are going to go on to maybe, though, with the extra help of the Winter Wyvern. It's going to be a very easy kill. So even if they didn't know Dubu was there, apparently they didn't know Dubu was there.
Yeah, they had some inkling, but they didn't think he'd actually wait. So there are 2 ways to deal with Lich as a hero. It's either you commit fully and you tri-lane against it, or you sort of just sack it and say to yourselves, like, this sucks, that's life.
And that's what MP is saying to himself right now. He's facing against a Monkey King, so at least he's got a lot of slows to be able to make sure Monkey King doesn't push him out, but he is going to have his lane constantly pushed into the enemy offlane tower. FY is going to be able to get a lot of farm. That's why you like the Monkey King more, right?
Yeah,
he's got Lich.
In this game, he does have a Lich. He's got something that can help him. In Dota, you just can't reasonably expect to win all 3 lanes. That's just a greedy principle. That doesn't really work out almost ever nowadays. You pretty much just have to give up on the fact that you're going to win 3 lanes. But if you can win 2, as up at bottom, Bat Rider going to get stunned
Rev is going to go for this one. He already has the sticky napalm stacks onto Yao, so he's going to start chasing him out, but couldn't quite get ahead of him to be able to get that extra damage. So he is going to back off. That is the... so we're just basically doing 1-3-1. I was expecting like Wyvern to go down to the bottom lane and help out our Bat Rider or something, but they seem to be pretty well set on just destroying mid as much as possible.
Yeah, and they've kind of identified that that's probably the lane that they can help out in the most. I would like to see the Wyvern rotate down to bottom though, because I think Bat versus Necro is a really abusive matchup. Like, it's one of the few matchups that Necro actually doesn't just straight up win.
Sticky napalm being that constant deterrent for him being able to get good CS. So if he sticks around too long, then you're just going to get run over. Can't Ghost Shroud to protect yourself.
Ghost Shroud just kills you faster.
But so is it the reason that they're tri-laning mid so much is not just being able to, okay, it's one of the best lanes we can pressure, but also the fact that Storm is going to be the biggest threat going on later into the game. It was the best counter pick to what Immortals are running.
It was probably more just a response of the failed courier snipe into getting first blood and not really sure where to go after that. It looked like the game plan kind of stalled out a little. I think the IO should just like stack camps though for the Sven. They should clear it, and then they'll give the Wyvern the XP mid. Because Wyvern's one of the best supports at just giving XP to. It's really hard to dive him. He has such a long attack range. He can just spam out with Splinter Blast, so if he gets dove, you have to really commit for that kill.
Right.
And as a Storm player, you never want to like ultra hard commit to anything, especially in the early game. The worst feeling as a Storm is when you've all-in committed for support in the early game, you don't have enough mana to get back and you just get chased down. But Febby gonna help out bottom, give 4Ev absolute full. Just such a benefit, just this IO.
Our 2 supports are going to come in now. They're going to be spotted out by Yao here. So not a whole lot should come of this, probably just a lot of damage onto Yao. Dubu not even bothering throwing out the Arctic Burn.
They're trying to protect this bounty rune right now.
Yeah, all the more important for Wisp with his bottle.
Yeah, but in mid, Kyo's getting really
yeah, maybe he's not shy about the moment he knows those 2 supports. He's like, all right, finally it's my time. And he starts putting a lot of pressure onto QO, who is going to snatch up the Invis rune. And his support should be healing him up pretty soon.
Yeah, he had to grab it. Febby's probably like, dude, runes are so good for me. Don't do that. But does get nabbed. They were trying to deny it from maybe. And Yao's actually smoked up the ward by the shrine. Not going to spot him. As the Necro continues to just farm, he probably has a decent lead. And if you look at this, he started an item build with the Town Portal scroll versus the Bat Rider. Like, that's so intelligent because he knows that the back can just like triple sticky, go on him, and if he just TPs out, neither of the supports have a stun.
Yeah, with Flame Break no longer stopping stuns, just being more of a shove.
And how many times do they have to nerf Batrider before he's just completely done?
Well, apparently it's not enough. We'll see what happens in 7.07. Any day, guys. Any day.
I hear when you guys complain about it, Ice Frog out of spite just adds like 2 more days.
It all comes back to that that feud that he had all the way back in Dota 1.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I just keep adding days. Just really get people riled up, you know.
See, now if the Chinese scene was doing something like that and advocating for him to put out the patch, he'd comply. Be like, all right, guys.
Those guys are chill.
No problem.
We lose it. I love that. Be passionate, guys. As QO throws out a stun mid. Now it's the Lich dual lane. Man, Lich is such an insane hero.
Okay. Everything's done for this lane. And
Yeah,
the
it's
Storm
like
Spirit's going to pick up level 6 soon. That's kind of dangerous for QO. So he's going to start eyeing some of those stacks. Both of the Ancients have been stacked up for him since we had both supports in that mid area. They might as well be stacking up. Right now, Dubu's heading his way to bottom lane. Ame is about to get his level 6 as well as the lasso on Forev with his level 6. So there's a lot of kill opportunities back and forth in this bottom lane as soon as we get our ultimates.
Yeah. For the most part right now, it's going to be kind of passive though, as a result of, well, there's not a lot of kill potential anywhere. But this kind of like farming based style might even favor Immortals, even though it doesn't really look like it because the next 3 net worths are for LGD. But it's all these stacks that Febby should be doing right now, which he is. Like, he's got some stacks going.
So he's going to be able to optimize jungling. So is the Sven. So is the Batrider. So that's how the slower game just kind of paved the way for Immortals. But that does mean they still have to be the aggressors, right? So they can go ahead and spend their time farming. It's going to be good for them. But when they do hit their timing, they have to hit it really hard and pretty much knock LGD out as quick as possible because they do have the better lane game here. Ooh, bottom lane, they're going to jump onto Forev with the Burrow Strike. Maybe he's going to try and follow this up. Oh, Febby has actually here. He's going to be able to heal up the Batrider. They're going to be able to turn around, kill up Yao. Good timing for Febby to be in the area. Saves Forev's life and will help him get that level 6.
Yeah, and he's going to even TP out because he knows that Q is coming over and he's out of mana. But that is pretty much what it looks like when Storm can't instantly burst. And that's why heroes is like Wisp. Yeah, he doesn't have a disable, but what he does as Storm is he really messes with your Dota math. And you have to jump further than you expect.
Yeah.
Which, as a Storm, the initial damage that comes from you is just your, your first zip. Like your first long zip. If you can't kill people there, then things get pretty complicated. And that's regardless of how he scales. That's just kind of how the hero works.
It says a lot about QO's playstyle that he was willing to make that move into the jungle just to see if he can.
They're going to try to kill mid, though. They probably will, too.
It's already pretty low. With the magic damage, they can bring him down pretty easy. Ame's going to throw out that Reaper Scythe. It's not going to be enough to kill him right away, so they won't be able to get the extra death timer in there on the Sven, but they will at least bring him down.
Yeah, that's so nice for him that he wasn't hit by that. And without a bottle, maybe he's going to find this Arcane Rune, but if I were him, I would just pop this top laner's Shrine. Like, sorry, FY. Life.
Look, buddy, you've had a great lane. You don't really need this.
He's going to do exactly that. Because you want to farm with this Arcane Rune. That's what you really want to do. You don't want to kill anybody. You're just going to farm with it. You get, like, this 2.4 second cooldown Remnant. You're going to farm really quickly.
Yeah, and you're not going to be wanting for mana too much.
Yeah, and Q.
Trying to go for a bit of dive here. Just kind of poking at him. Always dangerous, though, to go on a Necrophos. Even if you do have that magic damage. They've got Chain Frost up on the Lich. And if Necrophos snags the last hit, you're going to be paying for it.
Yeah. Lich just one of those 5 heroes that still kind of prevalent because his team fight's insane. They'll slow from pretty much everything that you have. He's one of the 5 positions that continues to scale into levels. Like, it's really hard as a 5 player to find independent
wrap
farm.
around. They're going to go on to MP. MP is not going to be hit by the jump here from FY. Missed the tree dance jump. And MP is going to be able to get into the trees himself. Blocks out with a ward a little bit. Hides.
3 seconds for his TP.
Waiting. Another ward. He doesn't have the mana, though. So he's got to just throw out the TP as soon as Burrow strikes up. But they do have the extra stun coming out from FY, which he'll use to finish up MP. Wasn't really a good way for him to get out of there. So just bought as much time as possible. 2-2 right now. Very slow game for Immortals versus LGD. But it should be ramping up here in the next 10 minutes or so.
That was a pretty decent juke attempt. He almost made it happen. But it's hard as QO. He wants that stacked. This is kind of what we expected for Immortals. Like, their early game went probably a little bit better than expected with that first blood and the secondary pickup kill. But for the most part, they can't really do much with like farm and chill in their lanes for the meantime. It's not like Veno's a hero that's going to rotate that early. Probably not until he takes the safe lane tower.
Well, that's unfortunate. They are trying to clear through an Ancient stack right now, and Stormseer just picked up a regen rune.
Oh.
So I don't think you want to be trying this stack anymore. A little bit too dangerous. FY is already making his rotations. He's level 8 already. Going to be spotted by the Bat Rider. Not going to be able to knock him down, though.
There's like some interesting interaction between these two heroes. Just because Bat, he's like the natural enemy of trees. And, of course, Monkey King. Trees are his
Gotta live there all
good
day.
friends.
Febby did manage to get one of the spirits onto FY in the trees. Oh, he tried to jump to the tree to be able to get him some vision. Might have been able to kill Febby if he dropped down on him, but Febby just gave him the loop-de-loop. And now, that much time wasted. There's no way FY is going to be able to do much about this one. Oh, actually might be able to catch him. No, he jumped away. Actually did get stunned. He got knocked down before he was able to complete the jump, so he's going to be stunned up long enough for Immortals to be able to clean up that extra kill. That was LG. I don't know what LGD was doing there. That felt like way greedy when they first got hit by the Spirit Ball. Yeah. And he still kept on jumping in and still failing to find the easy kill on the Wisp. It was just so much time wasted there underneath the Tier 1 tower.
I think the idea was like blow up Wisp quickly and create some space for this bottom area, but nobody was really able to utilize it. The smart thing though about LGD, you notice that as soon as that play happens, the Necro just immediately messes away, goes to the jungle instead as up at top.
Going for MP. All those rotations over to mid lane. Left maybe a pretty easy opportunity to clean up that Venomancer. Meanwhile, Forever's going to push it to the limit. He sees Heroes tops. He's going to go ahead and cut the creep wave and see if he can help this Siege wagon take out the Tier 1 tower as quick as possible.
Yeah, probably should get it. And as most of LGD rotated up at top, this mid lane going to get shoved in. Necrolite has his Force Staff, which is a really nice item against everything that Immortals does have. But Forev is going to grab this bottom tower for free. And generally as Radiant, you want to be able to split the map and play the same side, or the opposite side. You want to just play the reverse of what Dire do. And so generally what happens is you lose your bottom tower, but in return you're going to grab that top tower, Tier 1, but they weren't able to do so. And in fact, they're going to rotate all the way down here. Forev, he's already TP'd out.
Maybe he's already got the haste runes, so they're going to be able to kill MP real quickly. Febby actually relocated.
Oh, no,
God,
Febby,
why?
Oh.
Why did you just suicide into that one, friend?
He had like 100 health and 1 bottle charge?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was about. FY going to try and put a stop to the push of QO in this mid lane. See if he can also pick up that Jingu Mastery stack.
Yeah, gonna stun him out before he throws down the hammer, but wouldn't have mattered anyways. And kind of a weird sequence of events. And you only see those sequence of events in Immortals games. Like, only Immortals is willing to take a 2v4 with no vision and like 1 bottle charge on their Wisp. We saw it last game against Secret.
Yeah, I asked you, I was like, what the hell are they doing?
I was like, I don't know, man. You gotta take the good with the bad. If you're gonna run at people, just like, you can't play perfect Dota. You know what I mean? You can't just say like, why would you run into them like that? Well, it's like, they're gonna do that all game, so...
Yeah, it looks brilliant when they're diving Tier 2s as 5 and it's working for them and they're getting kills, but sometimes it's gonna look a little bad.
You don't get to pick and choose this stuff, man. You are who you are. Your team identity doesn't really change. Downside for LGD, even though they've had a pretty good early game, is that their 4 and their 5 are both surprisingly underfarmed. Like, Yao has absolutely no farm. I think Winter pointed that out earlier, that Yao kind of plays this like 4 position a little bit more as a 5.
Yeah, I actually wanted to go into that conversation a little bit more because maybe that's a bit of the difference between the Chinese and the Western style right now. Like LGD running almost 2 5s, and a lot of the Western scene running almost 2 4s. Like we saw Secret, very greedy with their Earth Spirit Chen. We talked about it a lot at Star Ladder, just like 5 positions were pretty barren, not really being picked up too often.
I think for this game anyways, it's because you get Lich, and there are 5 positions that still work, Lich just being one of them. It's like Lich plus Bane. I don't want to go through the entire list, but there's like 3 or 4 or 5 position heroes that still really work. So I think LGD is forced into this a little bit more. And when you have a Lich, you're going to pick 3 really greedy lanes. Because if you choose a really greedy offlaner like this Monkey King, then you have the option, like he's got options. I think the plan maybe was to put this Necro mid and have this MK safe lane, but as soon as back got picked, that kind of throws things for a loop. And then you have an offlaner that isn't really like an Earthshaker in the same sense. Like, he's a bit greedier. And this is what I was talking about by the mirror, by the way. So as soon as Immortals goes to this bottom tower, LGD, instead of trying to fight that, look what they do. They trade for their own tier 2. And I would have liked to see them do this for the first tier 1. Not that it matters too much, but if we're nitpicking.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they still got it. But
Yeah.
And it was it felt like that a rotation from LGD earlier where they 4-man down into their jungle. That felt a little abnormal to me. It kind of caught Immortals off guard for sure.
Oh, when they killed the Venom? Yeah, he didn't see that
after
coming.
they took that tier 1 tower.
Yeah, that was a cool move that I don't know if a lot of people will appreciate, but they just assumed that he'd be there as Arcane Rune.
Maybe is going to be pulled back onto the cliff. Dominating streak already for Maybe, but they're still going to try and fight this one out as they're going to be able to snatch up the Lich pretty quickly. Now the grab onto FY's Monkey King. Managed to get the stun out, though. Maybe that'll help Yao escape. Instead, he actually managed to get clipped by the stun. Looks like Febby got Reaper's Sight there. So they are going to get the Necrophos that extra regen. Maybe has plenty of mana to be able to run himself away from this one, or fight should he choose. And he's going to go for fighting here, but he's ultimating against both the Bat Rider and the wards. And he ends up losing his life, popping the Soul Ring for the extra mana, but gets clipped by a ward. NP is the one who is awarded that dominating streak, and LGD take a real nasty fight there.
Ooh, that was rough. And Febby, once again, not a lot of HP. He's like, damn it, guys. Just kind of wait for me to be full, but unfortunately it does go down. He played that positioning pretty well. He took the Necro out of the fight. The Necro had to deal with him, like trying to find him this entire time.
I mean, this all started with what I thought was a really easy pickoff, but Immortals are willing to take this fight right next to a shrine.
The problem was when you lose your Lich like that, he can't get any spells off, and he gets jumped himself. That represents a lot of the team fight for LGDs. Since this Sand King doesn't have Blink Dagger quite yet, like you could tell Yao really didn't want to take this fight. He's 100 gold away from his Blink Dagger.
Yeah.
They thought they just had an easy pick, and it kind of snowballs into a fight that you don't necessarily want to take, but you have to. And Febby's laughing about it. He's like, okay, like I guess they're gonna trade for me.
I thought for sure maybe he was gonna jump away from Forev there.
He's probably pretty dead though. I think he made the correct decision in hindsight.
Oh really?
Yeah, because everybody's got blinks and they're pretty fast.
Well, we've
like this
Sven
Sven would kill him
for the Forev.
Yeah, and Kyo had blink this entire time. Like he's probably not getting out of that. I think he made the correct decision there. You got to battle your way out sometimes.
Finally, Yao does have his Blink Dagger, though well in time with the Blink Daggers of Immortals. So this is still going to be an initiation advantage, it seems.
They need their 2 supports to get their spells off. Like the knock on Sand King has always been he sort of lacks in damage, which I think a lot of people when they hear that they'll say, oh, that can't seem right. Like Sand King's got this epicenter, but once everyone starts getting BKBs, your stun becomes increasingly more useless. Your ulti is really hard to get off.
So you're saying there's very much a sweet spot for
doing
damage on Sand King.
That's always kind of been the case with Sand King.
After you get Blink, but before they have BKBs.
You should just throw the chain.
His relocate's going to be caught, and they're not going to be able to get that kill right away. Yao's going to have to dive in even deeper for it, and maybe
Blink.
no TPs whatsoever from Immortals.
Oh no.
My goodness! He misses the Burrow Strike. Febby's taunting him now. He's coming back. Meanwhile, they're going for FY still at the top lane. They managed to pick up the Storm Steward already.
They might just go high ground.
Yeah, they're going for it. I mean, Febby has already lured them so far away from the base. Febby is still drying him out. Fortunately, Chain Frost didn't bounce back to him, but the Tier 3 tower is being chipped away at that bottom lane. They need to go back. They need at least Lich Armor on that Tier 3 something. That was...
They really should have just Chain Frost and try to kill him instantly.
Yeah, don't...
Use something, like commit one of your ultis, because that was the worst possible scenario.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, like the upside of Sand King is he does have his own setup stun. Like he's not a Slardar where it's very limited. You've got to like run in.
Yeah.
It is a ranged stun, but
it comes at a cost.
Yeah, it does come at a cost. And Storm's gonna get a really free pickup on Febby, 436 gold. That's a really significant amount of money.
He's getting all these pickoffs, but still does not quite yet have that Bloodstone.
Yeah,
you always hate to see Storm Spirits who are like, oh, look at him, he's getting all these kills, and then he gets a Bloodstone, and then the game turns against him.
17-minute Bloodstone with Trez, I think, is a really good timing. It's like 19 minutes is not awful by any means. And Immortals, they want to use their Blink Dagger timings as much as possible. This is a really sick timing for them. I think they should sandwich on mid And if you get a kill here near this bottom area, you can even probably just Rax LGD straight up. And that's what they're trying to go for. They're trying to catch them on the way down, and they're actually going to find them here.
See if they can kill FY real quickly and jump QO at the same time. Being a little bit greedy and almost making it work. FY is going to be able to get a bit more distance, but there's a flame break and should take out before he gets to the shrine.
Now they want to go. This is exactly what they wanted to do.
Immortals
you transition
go for the
kill.
high ground.
You find somebody on the way downwards. You immediately move to your Veno, who's already pre-set up the push. And this should have been really obvious for LGD. Like, something should have been warning in their head, like, guys, nobody's really pushing out top. Like, there's no rebuttal kill for Febby. What's going on? Like, why haven't they made any sort of move out? Right. And the reason for this is because they're setting up this bottom play, which they sandwich in this mid area. They come together, run towards MP. They find 2 pickoffs in response. LGD. This is a 20-minute Rax. And your lineup is supposed to hold this pretty okay with Lich Frost Armor.
Now, I don't know if Immortals noticed, but I certainly did, that our Sand King used Epicenter.
Oh, that's what I mean. Epicenter it's really unreliable in this regard, especially if you're the only stun. Look at that lineup from LGD. He's pretty much the only stun aside from the Jingu staff. So if he doesn't jump in, it's going to have to be the Monkey King that jumps in. And so if you Epicenter, it's a gamble at that point, because nobody's going to be a fight starter for you. It's just the Storm that's going to zip in, and we've seen that he can't really commit the zip. He'll just get Bat Rider grabbed and killed immediately.
Immortals really love the discipline there of taking the tier 2 tower, not taking the fight that Ame was kind of presenting to them by being a little bit far forward.
They don't have to. You know what the best feeling as a team when you're ahead is if you grab Rax and you take it clean. Nobody dies for it. That's when you know the game has really become a lot more rough. Because oftentimes what happens is you grab Rax, but it's always at a cost. That's the beautiful thing about Dota is you take Rax, but you'll have to lose like 2 cores for it. And that's the enemy's way to get a little bit more farm and back into the game.
Yeah, maybe they go and they take Roshan after that or something.
Exactly.
Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, can't fight for another 5 minutes. You're looking at this game and yeah, you might have a Rax, but they're getting bigger and bigger. Not the case here. Immortals, they're going to keep pushing the pedal to the metal here. See if they can go and find another smoke pickoff that may lead to taking mid lane of Rax or Roshan.
Yeah, Forever is trying to find FI right now.
Their
in the trees. And that tree is moving around, dude. Like, trees don't move in Dota.
All right, well, they've cleared through this area. They kind of ran around the Roshan pit area. Didn't find anybody, so instead they're just going to try and do Roshan straight up. Highly doubt LGD is going to be capable of fighting them, but I'm sure they're still going to try.
They need to. They absolutely cannot give up this Aegis. And
Forev, oh,
he's
no.
invis. Do they have Gem or anything like that? I don't even think they have Sentries or Dust. So if they do take this fight, he's got perfect vision for this.
They're going to be completely spotted out. Forev can pretty much pick and choose who he's going to go for here, and who's it going to be. Waiting for it. Does go for the lasso onto FY. It feels like that initiation is going to be key, being able to take out that big team fighter right away. FY's down. Reaper's Scythe does manage to finish off the Winter Wyvern, but Yao's not going to make it out of here. 3 dead from LGD. Maybe is on a bit of mana, so he'll be able to jump back to space.
Necro. He's completely in no man's land as QO.
No longer has those Death Pulse stacks, so he's just going to have to go for the TP. Does manage to make it out, though.
Yeah, very good. Gets out with his life, but that Invis rune, really, really fortuitous rune for them. As QO probably is going to tell his team, say, wait, I've almost got Daedalus, no reason to rush this game whatsoever. He's completely right. Like, get all the items that you need to get before you decide to go for any of these GG pushes. But this game is really one-sided right now.
You got level 20 coming up. MP has got level 18 coming up soon. That's a big upgrade in damage. And an Aghanim Scepter almost finished for Rev as his second item after the Blink Dagger. Does manage to push down FY, but doesn't have a lasso to be able to drag him out of his own ultimate, so he's going to be kind of stuck here, but finally gets out, and QO makes the initiation. Doesn't give a damn about the extra armor. QO does more than enough. He does have an Aegis here, so maybe he's going to have to get that kill and get out quick, otherwise he's going to be pursued out by the Blink Daggers, or Yao's going to make his initiation. They're going to try and fight this one. QO goes in with his God Strength, goes straight for the Lich, but Lich is already thrown as Chain Frost. Damage is done, but it looks like a fight that LGD cannot possibly win, even with a Chain Frost and Epicenter. They don't even come close to killing anybody on the side of Immortals. 3 down again from the side of LGD. The Storm Spirit Necrophos always staying alive through these engagements, but not really growing a whole lot.
Dude, the Wyvern had maybe 200 HP, and Febby came in with like the one instant mech drop, healed him to full. I was like, no, there's absolutely no way that you're going to win that fight. And now they're just going to go for the high ground. They don't have Aegis or God Strength. So this might be LGD's best opportunity. No Chain Frost or Epicenter for them is the issue. So maybe you just back up, take the Shrines, I think is a much better play than trying to commit for anything without your God Strength.
Now, I've always been curious, like how disciplined do you be in this situation? How patient do you be as Immortals? You just took Roshan, but you lost the Aegis really quickly. It's going to be a long while until the next Roshan is up. Do you ever consider waiting that long for that Aegis cheese, knowing how hard pushing high ground is? Or with this big of an advantage, do you push it now and not give LGD the opportunity for pickoffs?
I think when you have 2 saving supports, it's fine.
Okay.
When you have this Wisp that can always relocate out of bad spots, you've got this Wyvern.
You've got great high ground pushing heroes as well. QO tries to go for Ame, but a defensive Force Staff does allow him to be able to get out of there.
You don't have to commit too much because you can just drop wards and allow your Sven to hit, and your Wisp can just hold in the back, which is Storm's job. Like, maybe he has to try to
jump forward, immediately bringing down QQQ. Finally, he does manage to finish him off. And the double lasso, there it is with the Aghanim Sit. Oh, one big crit from QO. Kills 2 heroes. QO looking for the couple of hits on maybe is up next, but does manage to jump away a little bit farther back. Winter Wyvern pops the ultimate there onto the Necrobos. Ame is set up, but it looks like all these heroes are just jumping a bit too low. They dove in too deep. Ame's going to be able to pick up one with the Reaper's side. The relocate out does manage to save MP, though. I thought for sure Immortals was going to be losing 2 cores. Oh, are they going to go back in? It looks like they're setting up for it. QO's going to go for the kill. Quick kill onto Ame. He's going to be gone on by Maybe and will manage to bring him down, but immediate buyback, and now with the relocate back in, Immortals may have just stumbled into a trap of their own making. Maybe going in deep, trying to finish off Maybe. The squishy support, but can't make it out. Now they don't have stuns for MP either. Oh, no. Dubu, the last one to TP out, and LGD don't even see the kill opportunity. 11-22, a dive. A deep dive from Immortals that may have just been an opportunity for LGD to come back, but didn't have the stuns necessary to punish.
Yeah, and the problem is, when you lose the Sand King, your fight just, it's over. Like, you don't have any sort of follow-up initiation, you can't really lock down any of these heroes, and the instant heal burst that the Wisp provides in a game like this means that your initial jump just gets negated. Like, you all-in jump with Storm, that's what we talked about, and then Wisp just heals everyone to full, so it doesn't really matter anyways. So you try to go on the backline because you have to pop these 2 supports. But you notice that Febby makes the correct decision. He saves his tether, and he just waits, goes on the Wyvern instead, heals him up, correctly chooses the targets, and they're able to reset the fight. Now they force back. They force the buyback. Forev with this Aghanim Scepter. It looked kind of cool, but it didn't lead to too much.
Smoke wrap around here. They catch Necrophos. He's gone, has no Aghanim Scepter, or buyback, rather. FY. He's going to be choice instead. He's very, very dead.
Yeah, he's incredibly dead.
And he does not have buyback for 45 seconds. All right, Immortals. Time to go high ground again. See if this one actually manages to fully cripple.
Dude, Lich needs to go back right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what... They seem real slow.
He needs to start frost armoring.
Defending their base, because...
Oh, no.
All right, they do have that.
They've got Glyph, but still, like, you want the frost armor on these buildings.
Yeah. And that's already the tier 3 down. Rax is still being exposed. No, there's the initiation coming out with the epicenter, but it's not even close for QO down. He just turns around, 2-shots him. Maybe he goes for the wisp.
You gotta kill the
opportunity, but he just can't kill him fast enough. It's too much HP on Febby. Maybe is incapable of killing any of these heroes by himself. Immortals will take that second lane of Rax and look to the third, but LGD, I don't see how they could possibly defend this time around. They've already blown all their big team fight spells. Bounce back of the stun onto QO. Underneath the tier 3, okay, maybe this is the opportunity. Monkey King's going to throw out his ultimate with the Reaper's Scythe. They will make sure there's no rebuttal from Immortals. Unfortunately, that relocate out just didn't work for Febby. He's going to be relocated back into an awkward spot. MP's going to try and fight this one out, though. Managed to get a lot of poison, force LGD back. I can't believe they're willing to fight this one without the Sven, and it looks like they might just be able to win it, too. Try to jump in. Unfortunately, Lincoln stops the lasso, and now FY's going to be healing himself up with a huge Boundless Strike, and finally, maybe he's found his opportunity. Gets that damn whiz, goes for the other support, and Dubu, while FY tries to handle MP, burns in the flames. But they will manage to pick up all 5 of Immortals on LGD.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to see happen in a Rax defense. Yes, you might lose a Rax, but you should be able to get some rebuttal kills. They do just that, and they do have one of the best heroes in this game at holding the absolute late game. Storm Spirit, he's always going to give you an avenue back into this game. 20 Bloodstone charges on him. He's going to feel really good. Even picks up the Arcane Rune. And even if you're up 2 sets of Rex, if the Storm can just jump you and kill you, it doesn't really matter. Because for Immortals, they do have to take a team fight before they can go for this high ground. And we talked about how...
This was pretty crucial.
Yep.
That Linken's on the lasso, stopping and allowing FY to be able to get off the full Boundless Strike heal.
We talked about it in the early game. Linken's on the Storm is going to make him nigh unkillable. So far, it's been correct.
You can see just that.
Oh.
It's really just been damage he's been lacking, right?
Did you see Forev? He laughed at that moment.
Yeah.
He's like, damn, he got me good.
I mean, you still got to feel real good as Immortals. You're up 9,000, 2 lanes of racks. There's pretty much no amount of late game at this point that you're not uncomfortable with the game as Immortals.
Most likely, but they probably need a little bit more in terms of items. Like, they just need more.
Yeah.
And QO,
second round of rush, maybe.
Yeah.
Long jump in, maybe. Does manage to spot
out
they got
with
the 2-man stun up. Yao now jump in. They manage to get the back heal off, and it looks like they're going to be able to survive. Yao's going to go down. Maybe he's going to be caught in that lasso as well and takes a huge amount of damage from the poison. If he doesn't jump out soon, he's just going to die. He is. MP is going to be able to pick up that one and keeps on pushing for more, slowing down Ame. Now they've got the sticky napalm on top of him. LGD. They do have the Storm Spirit up in 10 seconds. If they can actually turn this fight with FY, maybe trying to go for Febby. Just the stun out actually hits QO as he blinks in, but now QO, he had his time. 2 shots. The Monkey King, 2 shots QQ as well. Febby barely managed to survive time and time again. And they're just slowing down Ame.
Yeah,
over and over and over again. The relocate in. Storm Spirit's back, but can he actually do anything to save him? Throws the Linken's onto Ame.
He's got to kill
Febby. Able to
Febby.
stop some sort of spells. Looks for Febby. Not going to be able to find him. Reaper Sight doesn't finish off Rev either. And maybe at half mana has to run away from his own base just to be able to escape Immortals' grasp.
And that looked like such a promising fight. We talked about it. You need to kill the backline supports or everyone's going to get healed up. You have Winter's Curse. You have the Ice Block on him. Whis, of course, has that mech. And he was able to get that mech off at the last possible second. Able to save himself, turn that fight around in favor of Immortals. And LGD, a lot of that good is going to get undone right here, as 2,300 net worth in favor of them, on top of the 10k that they already had. Mega Creep's going to follow shortly, as here comes the epicenter.
Trying to make that 4 versus 5 work with a BKB pop by QO before any stums come in. And he just keeps wailing on the racks. Maybe he's not even trying for him. He's trying to go for some of the back line, but his whole entire team is dropping to Immortals as they flood the base. 32 minutes, forcing out the GG call. This wasn't just a lane of racks and the rest of LGD realizing they're too far behind. That was them pretty much taking throne under 35 minutes for Immortals.
Yeah, that was absurd. The way that they set up that game, though, I don't think enough people appreciate that. It's very easy to just say, oh, they run at you. But no, they don't just run at you. They set that fight up very well. When they pushed in that bottom lane and they connected to that Venom when they knew that there'd be heroes there, like that's just smart Dota. That's not just blindly running at people and saying like, well, I hope we find something. No, that's saying, okay, we're going to set up this bottom push. People are going to try to defend that because we were just shoving in mid. So let's, instead of smoking a little bit upper, let's just smoke straight down to our Venom. We'll find some heroes, immediately transition it into a high ground push that they absolutely cannot defend for.
It seems like one of those things where Immortals is like, we always say that they are very cognitive of what they need to do in these team fights in order to win the actual fight itself. But now we can also say they know how to be able to force the best possible fights to quickly turn that into easy objective wins, like that smoke so close to that tier 3 at bottom lane. A pickoff like that allows Immortals to be able to take game number 1 pretty easily against LGD. Will it be a flat 2-0? We'll have to see as you go back to the panel.
Get the alpha, be the alpha.
Plenty of questions, and they're all for LGD after game number 1. Immortals coming through with a comprehensive victory in that first game. Our 2 panel members are waiting to give their feedback on the game, so let's get them now from Winter and Fogged. Gents, another great performance by Immortals. I think Blitz summed it up really well at the end. They don't just run at you, it's smart Dota, and I think that's a great way of summarizing how they're playing, because it is very run at you style, but there's a purpose behind it. There's an intent. They know what they're going to do.
Not smart all the time though.
Not all the time. I think the last game.
Come on, Winter, get on board the Immortals train.
I think the last series when they played versus Secret just got kind of dismantled, and they at one point were just like weak. They couldn't really withstand what Immortals was throwing at them.
Right.
And this game was definitely much more methodical. They understood what they needed to do. I thought they'd actually kill the Storm a couple more times in the mid lane at the start. We were all kind of talking about it in the back room, and either way though, they just got so massive on this Sven, took some pretty nice fights, and their movements from their supports just were much cleaner on Immortals. The IO and the Wyvern always on point. Immortals moving as a whole, while you see LGD, they're getting picked off over and over again with like 2-3 heroes trying to set up plays, not as a group. I don't see the unison on LGD in comparison.
Not a surprise with the stand-in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how much you want to put on that, but it's part of the issue, surely.
I think it's a combination. It's this maybe the stand-in and also having Yao not playing his
true 5.
Yeah, he's playing his like 4 heroes that he wants to play as a 5 kind of in a way.
Not an ideal stand-in for the roles. You could see like him and the Lich, they were kind of doing a lot of very similar stuff. Where
We spoke about that, didn't we?
Yeah, where someone should be more aggressive, and they wasted a couple of smokes. The early few smokes were really bad. Number 1 was the Sand King smoking alone. He was trying to place a ward and he got spotted by the Wyvern, played by Tubu. Then the second smoke with the Lich, they went top. They couldn't even kill the IO. They wanted to save the Chain Frost, and Immortals just got a pick off at bottom and they push high ground. So they pretty much did not use their smokes very well, whereas every time Immortals smokes, they were able to get key pick offs. They get objectives after that.
And that was the nice setup about it, wasn't it? They were running, they were gunning, they were ready for the fights, but they already had the next part of the chessboard mapped out where they were going to go next.
I think Blitz said it again, the cast like perfectly. They were forcing reactions in one situation, and then they'd smoke up and meet with that situation. They'd be like, okay, we're going to push this lane in, and we'll smoke up and meet where that guy is, and we're going to catch somebody there because they're going to react to push out the lane.
Yeah.
And we saw it happen. They lost 2 heroes on the side of LGD, which turned into a massive base push coming out afterwards. And I mean, QO got very out of control in this game.
He did. He had a great game, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he struggled to stack Ancients a few times. He got rooted by the big creep a couple times. But yeah, that was just nitpick, little funny thing.
Yeah, but still, like LGD made it easy for Immortals in a few situations. I felt like they could have at least won a few fights with they had Sand King, Lich, Monkey King. They should have been able to at least win a couple of those fights. But even with the ultimates, they were like they weren't able to cast their spells properly.
Yeah.
They got jumped by the Sven. The Lich dies. The Sand King dies. Like they TP in. They were just really, really uncoordinated.
When was the first Chain Frost casted? I feel like it didn't get casted till quite a while after he got it. He was kind of holding on to it, like waiting for Immortals to go on them, and then they tried to take like a 2v4 fight, I remember, near the Dire Ancients, and he wasn't able to get it off. But either way, they just weren't playing together. It wasn't this cohesive unit that we've seen from LGD in the past. It was people trying to make like individual dual or 3 plays. And Immortals are just having a blast. You can see it. Even when they died, even when they all fed 5 kills, we hear them laughing through the wall. We hear Forev just doing his like loud burst laugh. So they were feeling very comfortable in this game.
Very, very comfortable indeed. Were there any highlights, Winter, for LGD out of this? Can they take something out of this that's positive?
Positive. I think I kind of like the draft to a certain extent, the first 3. Like, I think they had a solid idea on how to play. We were kind of discussing how LGD should attempt to play against Immortals with the Lich, how to slow the game down.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a good idea around that, but it was just the latter part. I mean, it was still possible for them to play, but then when the game started itself, they made a lot of mistakes. Similar to the first series, they gave away a lot of like random pickoffs here and there. Their teamwork is not great. They have a team fight lineup, but they're not winning the team fights.
I felt like they were when they contested the Ancients that one time or 2 times, I saw them do it as like 2 or 3 people, not as a 5-man unit, not as 4 people, and anything like that. And instead, they were just. I saw them kill MP as the Veno 2 or 3 times, but Immortals didn't even respond. He was running around the trees there, and you didn't see an IO TP, you didn't see a Wyvern TP. They understand. They're like, MP's gonna get sacked. We're focusing on the Batrider. We're focusing on the Sven. These are our win conditions. The Veno, he's gonna get big no matter what. That's just the nature of the hero. He does his job.
Now, let's take a look at the scoreboard and run the scores on the doors past you right now. In terms of great games, I guess you look at QO, 15-3-11. MP5, 4-21. Also having a good game forever. 10-2-17.
The Batrider. That's when I saw that Batrider, I was like, I'm so in on Immortals right now. It's super good versus the Necro.
It really meshed well with the rest of the draft as well, didn't it?
Yeah, and then they picked Monkey King too, which is like, oh, it becomes even more of a dream Batrider game. And I'm still seeing Monkey Kings just struggling.
Really struggling. I mean, we spoke about this at the very beginning of the show as one of those more unusual carries that have been used in the last couple of months because he's sort of transitioned away from that kind of roaming support that we were seeing before. Players are still playing him, but the results are not coming, are they?
He's still really good though. I think he's really good in the right situation. He's a very strong core. I think the Battle Fury build where sometimes you look at it, you feel like, this hero, you're gonna want to farm a lot if you go for that build. But it seems like it's the stable build that the Chinese, when they play him as a carry.
It seems necessary, right? Because you can't farm, you can't push out waves as the hero.
I mean, I think you do push out decently when you have the Primal Spring max out early. Some of them actually have the stun at maybe 1 or 2 points and then max out the Primal Spring and then push out waves. But there are a lot of ways of playing the hero. You don't have to go Battle Fury. You can go for the Echo, you can go Diffusal, and you can go off lane. The hero itself, I think, if Batrider is not in the game, the hero is actually really strong. Like if Batrider is banned out, I think what happened this game was maybe a little bit of oversight. They thought the Wyvern was going to be off lane because we were kind of talking about it a bit. IO Wyvern support duo probably unlikely. I think the Wyvern's going to be off lane. So they're like, okay, we're good to go. So we pick the Monkey and they still pick Batrider and like, oh crap.
It's one of like Immortals like top played heroes. Forev loves playing, especially paired with the IO. That's why I was like very shocked to see that they grabbed Monkey King without them knowing exactly where the roles were going yet.
Yeah,
I think that's something that something that we've seen previously on the Monkey King. It's like you need to know exactly what the matchup is going to be when you pick that hero. If you don't, it can be completely punished and suffer.
Yeah, and let's turn our attention to MVP now. Is there anyone other than QO that gets this?
Batrider.
You still think Forev was?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to give it to Forev. That's his 3rd MVP in 3 games.
I mean, he's the key player on this team. Like he sets up a lot of things. Like he doesn't take as much farm as like QO or MP, but he does a lot for his team. He creates a lot of openings. He's very like risky sometimes when he needs to be risky. Sometimes over extending himself. But that's what you have to do. Create opportunities for your team.
Perfectly said. And there it is, your MVP on screen right now. It is Lee Sang-dong for South Korea, of course. Forev in the Immortals team, who picks up his 3rd consecutive MVP. He's having a great day, isn't he? On this opening day of the PGL Open Bucharest. We are going to get into our second draft, which could be our final draft of the day. It's astonishing, isn't it? Like, have you enjoyed the Dota 2 so far? Because I have, but I want more. And the good news is, even if this is the last game of the day, we've 3 more days to go. Don't miss Group B tomorrow. That begins. And then, of course, on Saturday, we'll have 4 elimination matches, from both groups, of course, to see who else goes through to the semi-finals. The good news today is the winner of this match gets 2 days off. 2 days holiday in Bucharest. Can't think of anywhere better to spend it in Europe right now. And the winners of tomorrow's get an extra day off as well, because they won't be playing until Sunday as well, which will have the semi-finals and the grand final. Let's check in with our social media questions right now. They've been pouring in through the Reddit post. Do add your own, and we'll try and get through as many as we can. This one says, why is position 4 jungling no longer used in competitive?
Because it's terrible.
Because it's pants.
Because jungling is just not worth it. There's no value.
Except for Chen and Enchantress.
Except for Chen.
But they don't exactly jungle. They're like they grab a creep and they go to the lane.
Yep. You don't get. I think this one is a little bit more straightforward than some of them. It's just
it's definitely fallen out of favour, isn't it? Would you say since 7? Or even earlier?
Since the jungle nerf.
To the XP when you jungle, you don't get as much XP and gold. I think since that patch.
What was that 693?
I can't remember exactly, but since that patch, it's really not worth it to actually sack a lane to jungle.
Right. Yeah, we used to see like Crystal Maidens. It'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna kill a big camp and then I'm level 2. And now you kill 2 big camps and you're like, guys, I'm still not level 2. I don't know what the hell is happening, but
and I don't have mana.
I have no mana for anything.
and I've got to return it back. I've got no health, and I've got no items. I've got nothing.
It's just not good anymore.
There you go. So it's pants. It's the short answer as to why that doesn't happen anymore. Right, let's turn our attention to game number 2. Draft is almost upon us, gents. Where are we going for game 2? LGD, presumably, Fogged have to mix this up a little bit now.
Yeah, I still think that the Lich can work, but I think they need a easier to execute overall draft. I think with Sanking, Lich, like these guys have to be very on point with their rotations. I'm trying to think of what a better duo would kind of be, though.
You feel like maybe they have to take this out of the meta?
Not exactly, though. I think that they have to play better. A lot of it has to do with the play, why the draft is not working.
Right.
they're not playing well. They are very sloppy in a lot of areas in the game. So pick the same things, play better.
Okay. You're okay with that, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the monkey.
Except for the Monkey
Yeah.
King,
I was
I
gonna,
would say.
I was
Yeah.
going to say that at the end, yeah. Because, I mean, it's kind of situational, wasn't it? And they got blindsided by that.
They just need to pick monkey in a situation where they are certain there's no counters coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They know the exact matchup. It's like, all right, this is some Underlord. All right, I'm playing versus an Underlord. This is the dream right now. Something like that.
Is it worthwhile countering heavily for it though? Is it that good a carry right now? Do you feel that if you get the right counters out and you can play the counter game just to get that into the game, is it worth that much? Are
Yeah,
there
for a
better
hero-
carries out there?
For a hero like monkey, I think it's worth if you want to pick the hero. Like monkey is like a hero that if you fit him in the carry position, he has team fight, he has a stun. He is really strong in the early game, doesn't need too much items if you're going for echo diffuser. He does so much for your team. If you can actually make sure that he have a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see whether they decide to go down that road, because the draft is up and running for game number 2. If you're just joining us, welcome to the PGL Open Bucharest. It is day number 1, Group A. We're in the winners bracket final, and